Welcome to Power Your E-commerce Business, the go-to series for busy entrepreneurs like you. Product research, sales, marketing, branding, shipping and logistics. We share knowledge and information every week from top experts serving the MENA region to help you power your e-commerce business. And good evening, everyone. Welcome to another live session of Power Your E-commerce Business, live right here on our YouTube channel, Amazon Sellers Society. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. We're going to be talking about the strategies that you can follow. Easy, simple, 4 simple strategies. Well, they're easy, but they do require some hard work for you that you can follow if you want to start selling globally in any marketplace, anywhere, all across the world. These strategies are gonna work for you. And to help me uncover and talk about all of these wonderful strategies, I want you to welcome Jana, who is the founder and CEO of YTL Translations. Hi, Jana.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be invited to your channel. I've heard about your channel a lot, and you're very kind of niche in what you do, and I'm very grateful to be here. So my name is Jana, and as you said, I'm the founder of YTL Translations. So what we do is we help sellers expand to all international marketplaces, and we have like a great content strategy, and we've worked with thousands of sellers, and we're even like part of like Amazon's program that like it's beta testing sellers that to go in globally. So if you guys have any questions or anything you would like to know, like maybe something you're stuck somewhere, don't just feel free to comment or to reach out to me after the show.
Yes, let us know. So Jana, when me and you first met, we were talking about, what can we do to what are the issues that sellers are facing, especially in the Middle East. And I know you're very passionate about the Middle East region. And I know, it's a very, very strong region. And it's somewhere where, there's so many great entrepreneurs here. And a lot of people are starting their Amazon journey, their e-commerce journey. And I think a lot of people are also thinking of, how do I expand? So when we met, me and you, we decided, okay, what can we do? And we thought, all right, let's do something related to how somebody can expand. Because it's not the same. If you're selling on Amazon in the UAE, for example, and you want to expand to Germany, it might feel like it's the same thing because it's Amazon, but it's just in a different country. Well, no, it's not. So let's get started. Before we get started and dive a little bit deep into each and every strategy, give me your overall thinking of what it means to expand, and when do you think a seller should expand into a different market, or i.e. a different country?
Right. So that's a very good question, and I get asked this a lot. From my experience and sellers that we work with, you are either, let's say, usually like the sellers, they start in the US market because it's the biggest one out there. And usually like the sellers want to expand internationally when they have enough of revenue and like enough big of profit to expand elsewhere. So I would not recommend anyone expanding when they have like one product and they're like struggling with it, and they're just like, oh, let me just go to another marketplace, like expand elsewhere, because you will not have the financial support that you need for that, and it's a big project for you. So don't go expanding if you haven't really dip your toes properly in your home marketplace. So this is one type of sellers are the ones that are like doing an amazing job abroad, and they're like, wow, like we're building so much, we're selling so much, we have so much revenue, let's go and try out some different marketplaces. So these are the ones, brands that are very, very successful on one marketplace. And the second one is like the brand that has been somewhat successful but has hit the wall. Maybe there's like too much competition, maybe like PPC rates are like insanely expensive, and maybe they're just not making much of a revenue, but they still are doing fairly well. And they're like, well, maybe this will be better maybe this will be better like some like elsewhere, like maybe I could do this like in Germany. And this is when people like try and see like new marketplaces. And what we have seen is that a lot of sellers can make equal revenue or maybe even bigger in Europe than they're making in the US, depending on the products and the market and everything. Yeah.
Makes perfect sense. And the first thing that you said, I think, hits the nail on the head, because a lot of people, they start on Amazon, maybe they're not doing very well with that product, and they think, oh, let me sell it somewhere else, and let me go here, and
Yeah.
let me go there, and then they're just too diversified that they just can't, like, they're failing
Yes.
everywhere instead of just focusing on one market. That's fantastic. Let's start with strategy number one, or tip number one, for anyone that wants to expand beyond the market that they are currently selling in. Let's assume, because most people that watch our channel are selling on Amazon either in the UAE or KSA. So let's say they want to expand to Europe, for example, Germany,
Right.
UK, anywhere. So they want to expand. Tip number one is do your research before you start. Elaborate a little bit.
Yes. So a lot of sellers, as I mentioned, like they have like a best-selling product in the US or let's say UAE, and they want to expand to other marketplace, but because they think that this best-selling product is going to best-selling on another marketplace, which very often proves as a not great strategy. So before you start, what I suggest, and this is something that you can like do on your own, like you can go like check like brand analytics in your Seller Central, and you can type in the name like of the product that you're selling, and see like how well is this product doing. Like you can see like is the search term frequency like really high, or is it like really low? Also, like if you use Helium 10, you can go to Black Box and check like and see like what big of a revenue is that product making on a different marketplace. And then after that, when you see like what are the pricings, what are your margins and stuff like that, are there people that are interested in your product? Maybe search volume for your product is not that high, and that basically means that you just have to drop that idea, and that's probably not a good product. And a lot of people skip this part, which I think is very, very important. Is because like if you sell like very well in the UAE, maybe this product will be fantastic like in Germany. Like maybe like from the UAE, you don't really have to go to the US, because in the US it's not going to be that terrific. So it just really depends. Like if you want to go elsewhere, you just really have to sit down and like do a research, or not even you, like you give this to like your VA. It's like really simple. It doesn't take a lot of time, but it will save you a lot of money, and overall business plan would look better if you just do a little bit of research. And I'm constantly surprised, just like constantly seeing people who are doing an amazing job on their home marketplace, and then they're like very successful, but then when they expand internationally, it's a huge mess. And I'm like, how are you so successful on the home marketplace when you're doing such a bad job and terrible job on all international marketplaces? And just to say that international marketplaces have been trending so much ever since COVID started, because a lot of brands had to pivot and be like, okay, so they don't actually want to expand, but like now I kind of have to, because it's all online. So what else I could do that's like online? So they would like go to national marketplaces, and we've seen like a increase like over like 300%. It's been insane last like a year and a half for us, honestly. So I think that people are expanding more and more. And if you think your product may not be a good fit, just like go to brand analytics, go to like Black Box or like Jungle Scar, whatever you guys using, and just see like if the product is doing great on other marketplaces. And I'm sure that you could be very, very surprised.
So the idea is, just because your product is successful, even if it's not, a culturally, it has no cultural attachment or anything like that. It's just a general product. Just because it is successful on Amazon in the UAE, for example, doesn't necessarily mean it's also going to be successful on Amazon Germany, because you might find that, number one, there's not enough demand, or number two, you might find that there's a lot of competitors that that are doing much better than you. Maybe they have a much better product or something like that, it would be crazy to say, yeah, of course I'm going to be successful just because I was successful somewhere else.
Yeah,
Perfect.
exactly. Yeah. I
Do you want to
just can
elaborate on
answer.
that a little bit more? Yes, of course.
Yeah, I can answer the
What do you want to
question that
answer?
Fareed had. So, Fareed, I know the seller support is a complete nightmare. So, what I suggest you to do, and what has been working for a lot of sellers, is to actually contact the customer support in Costa Rica, and then choose English as a speaking language, because they will pick up the phone. So, I'll try that if I were you.
Thank you, Jana. There you
Welcome.
go, Farid. So let's move on to tip number 2, or strategy number 2, which is plan ahead and get your content ready on time. Why?
Because it's like very connected to like what I previously said. Like, by planning ahead means you will do the research and you will know what to expect or like not to expect from the marketplace. And then like to get your content ready in terms of like, get the listing translated, get the keywords ready, get everything prepared. Because although you will wait for VATs and like other things, like you will be prepared to launch immediately, because a lot of sellers, they kind of wait till they get like everything like registered and everything done in order, like a private entity, and then they're like, oh wait, I need to get this done, and they rush everything. That they use Google Translate, they don't use any good content like that could be out there, and then by doing all of this wrong, you're just going to blow your honeymoon period. And the honeymoon period could be restarted, but you cannot ever restart those reviews. That really sucks. But what I can suggest also, like by planning ahead, is like getting as many good reviews as you can get, and then launching into Europe or other marketplaces, because all of these reviews that you get are now global, and they're going to show when you launch a new product on a new marketplace. So this also means, like, by planning ahead means that you kind of get enough of that positivity, like, about your product, so you can launch more easy on a different marketplace.
Perfect. Because I also see a lot of people, because when you want to launch in a new market, you need to think, logistics all over again. How do you do all of that? And I see a lot of people focus on the administrative stuff, and then
Yes, and
later
not on their product. Yeah.
And then later on, they're like, oh, yeah, well, I'll just use the same content. No, you can't use the same content. It's a different market.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, that's
so
what
focus.
a lot of people, yes, the content is very important. I mean, you know how much importance the content has, like, on your US market, on your UAE market. So treat it the same way as you would treat the content in English. And yeah, it takes a lot of time to get registered. Like, I've seen you guys like mention like VATs and stuff. Yes, it does take time, logistics, everything is pretty much like a nightmare. But once you get there, just make sure that you are 100% ready, and don't do your content, I don't know, like 7 months in advance. It's really not necessary to do it that much in advance, and especially because of the keywords. Because a lot of keywords, usually you should optimize your listing every 6 months. So if you do the content, the keyword research, and you wait like another 8 months, you're just gonna have to do it all over again. Especially when it comes like to Christmas, and like I know a lot of you sell like gifts. They're like, it could be like Christmas keywords and other stuff like that. So don't do it like way ahead of time, but like do it, let's say, like a month before you're going to launch the products.
Perfect. To answer Nadia's question about taxes in the US, I think it's the best, the best thing, Jana, is to tell Nadia what we were talking about previously, is that when you don't know something, maybe the best thing would be to find an expert that knows about it, because things like taxes, things like shipping sometimes are so tough. Yeah.
Yes.
So let her know what we were talking about before. Like, what is your advice as a business owner, because you're a business owner yourself? What do you do when you have something and you're not really an expert at it?
Yeah, so of course, like, I'm not a jack of all trades, and I've never, strived to be one. So like, whenever I don't know something, like for instance, like I don't know much about taxes, like really not my niche. And I know like some general things, but I would always go to people who know something. And me as a business owner, as you said, like I would always hire someone who is smarter than me at one thing, and then hire him instead of me doing like a mediocre job at that. So, in case like I have some contacts for taxes, like I could give you some. for that. But it's really a tricky question, and you really need an expert on the tax in order to get this done the right way, especially when it comes to the US.
Yeah, you need a bookkeeper for sure, because like it depends which state you're selling in. It depends on so many things, especially that Nadia, like most people watching the video, is not living in the US. So there's a lot of things that you need to think about. Step number 3, tip number 3, strategy number 3, keyword research is everything. This is a little bit related to strategy number 2, which is prepare your content. But what do you mean, Jana, by keyword research? What type of keyword research?
So yeah, I mean, it is connected with like prepare your content, but even if you're like already launched somewhere like on international marketplaces, and maybe you want to change it like or optimize it, a lot of people really get the index for completely wrong keywords because they don't pay enough attention to that. And keywords, I mean, apart from PPC and other things, are very important thing, and this is something that is going to sell your product. Not only pictures and like content, but like what's the use of the content when having no keywords in it, right? And it's even worse if you have like wrong keywords. So what a lot of people do is like they would just use keywords and they would just gonna Google translate it to another language, or they would just gonna give that to like a translator, be just like, can you just translate this? So they did not use Google Translate, but it's basically the same thing, because when it comes to different marketplaces, you really have to sit down and do the keyword research separately on each marketplace, because a lot of keyword combinations are not going to be exactly the same in different languages. Like even if you compare like the English UK marketplace and UAE and US, you're not gonna get the same keyword combinations all the time.
100%.
So just by putting the same keywords and translating them or just leaving them as they are, you're not doing yourself a favor for sure. So what you need to do is like you need to go to whatever tool you use. Like we, for instance, like love using like Helium 10. So you do like the keyword research, you have the little flag and change it and just do the keywords. I know there's like another tool that offers like a good like a UAE keyword research, and this is why when you have to do it yourself, same for Japan, like you have to sit down and like do it yourself. But in this case, like you can just go and see like what your competitors are doing, or you can also just because now from what I've actually heard last week is that Amazon is going to focus more on like on Google searches and like take like a lot of things from there. So you can even use like a keyword planner from AdWords.
Exactly.
It's free, and then you can actually use the keywords from there and then put it in their Amazon listing, because it's all going to be there on Google, and Amazon will like keep more attention to Google from now on than it was like done before. So that's like how you can do it, but definitely you'll have to change the region, the language, and just see like what's gonna show up. So it's very, very important to just do the research from scratch in another language and not just translate the keywords as they are, as sometimes they will be very misleading, and a lot of times you will not gonna maybe you will trigger different and wrong results. Like we recently had a seller and he was like ranking for he was ranking for diapers. I mean, also for kids, but like in the UK where he wanted to go, he just left the listing like that. And he says like, have been, just ranking for adult diapers, because he just didn't want to change it anyhow. Just like, it's English, I'll just use it. But like in English, like in the UK, diapers means that there are like diapers for adults, and like diapers for babies are nappies. Yes. And he didn't use that. And he was like, what's wrong? Like, I'm not getting like, spend like a lot of money, like on PPC and everything. He was not getting the results he wanted. So just imagine like English being this language that we all speak, how like big differences there are, and just compare it to like Germany or Japan or Mexico or like UAE,
where it's not the primary language, where you've got other languages as well. Yeah. Very interesting. Very, very correct. And one more thing about what you said, you can always use, if you don't want to do Helium 10 or anything like that, you can also use a lot of those softwares, systems, solutions for SEO optimization, whereby exactly like you said, there are a lot of them, keywordtools.io, Mangools. You can find them normally. SEO experts use those to pull data from Google and get those search engine keywords, those keywords. So you can use those and add them into your listing and get an even better result than anybody else, because you would be doing something completely different.
Also, like
Absolutely
one of the tools
fantastic.
that I think it's absolutely fantastic. Also, like if you have a website or a Shopify store, is SEM Rush. It's absolutely the
Yes,
best tool
yes,
out there,
yes.
and we like to use it also like for different like various like products. So I would absolutely recommend this tool. I mean, I have no affiliates with any one of them. I just
Yeah,
really
yeah,
like
of
the tool,
course.
and it's been around for like 15 years or so, and I
And
haven't
it's
seen a
easy
better
to
tool than
use as
that.
well.
Very,
Yeah,
very
yeah,
easy. Yeah.
yeah. Um, Before we move on to strategy number 4, since we're talking about keywords, what about keywords in the local language? So let me
Mhm.
just preface and give you an example. So for the UAE, even though the main language here is Arabic, we find that on Amazon UAE, Arabic keywords are very, very low ranking. They're not really. It's potentially because 90% of people living in the UAE are expats, and
Yes.
don't use Arabic. They don't speak
Yeah.
Arabic. But still, would you recommend for a marketplace like the UAE, even if those Arabic keywords aren't really that, they don't give really good results when you search for them with those keyword tools, would you still recommend to use them and focus on them? Maybe that way you would be doing something different than the competition.
I definitely think it depends like who you want to target. Like if you want to target like
Yeah.
expats, then definitely yes, you should like focus on English and like US English, not the UK
Mm, mm.
English, and just use the US keywords. But if you want to like target like a Arabic population, like I would
Yes.
definitely
Yes.
keep the English keywords in backends. Like I would
Yeah.
definitely keep them there. And also like if you want to keep like an English listing, I would also put like Arabic keywords in backends, because this is like
Mm.
what people also do like in Canada. There are like a lot of
Yes.
French
French.
speaking
Mm.
like consumers, and so like when you have like a listing in Canadian, you also put like French keywords in backends, and this is how you get like that's how your product pops up like for both languages basically.
Perfect. Final strategy number 4: localization and native translators are the key. Very, we're just talking about localizing your keywords. But what do you
Yeah.
mean by native translators? And what do you mean by this strategy in general?
Yes. So this is I think a local like translation is like translated word by word, and like I think that my company should change the name to like a localization company, because that's kind of more important than translations itself. Because like by translating word by word, you don't get anything, just like a list of words or whatever. But localization means that you are going to kind of convey the same message of your brand to the target audience in a different country. And what I mean by this is that, let's say like the US style is like very salesy, very fluffy, and you want to go to Germany, for instance, which is like very like not like that. They don't like when you kind of sell them the product. They just really like to see the key features, like how did this product solve my problem, what are the benefits, and don't push me into buying this product. And just by translating the language as it is to the German marketplace, they'll be like really puzzled, like why is this like this, and I don't find this appealing, and I'm not
Yeah,
gonna buy this product, because at that point they have like 7
it's
tabs
just
open, they're just gonna
yeah,
close yours, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
localization is basically everything. And I have like a really good example when we did a translation on this glass espresso cup. So the
Mhm.
original listing said like the first bullet said cool, cooler, coolest, like explain the cup.
Yeah.
And we just changed that to like a cup that fits in your hand, like because
Yeah.
it's like very easy
Yeah.
to hold. And the
Yeah.
third bullet was like, just like your old grandma used to do in front of the fireplace when you would have like your kids, blah blah blah, going like all like emotional and everything.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
just did that as thermal isolated glass, which basically means you won't burn your fingers. It has to be
Yes.
like very functional, very
Yes.
precise, and like really
Yes.
like straight to business. So that's
Yeah.
something that people do not understand, they don't grasp. And also like one of the easiest examples is like idioms, like you cannot translate
Yes. Yes.
like I don't know, like it's raining cats and dogs. You cannot
Yes.
say it's
Yes.
raining cat and dog in Germany. They'll be just like
They're like, what?
like
Why is
yes,
it raining
exactly.
cats? Yes. Got
Why
it.
is it like, yeah. So
Yes.
it like you're weird. So you like really need to like even rewrite some parts of the listing so it makes sense in another language. And sometimes you
Yes.
just need to have this text as a base and then do like a little bit of copywriting and translating. Of course, you're not gonna you're gonna keep all of the important information like materials and stuff like that, but you're gonna change it in a way that the target audience understands that, and I think that's where a lot of people lose potential consumers, because they don't understand how this is important. And why you should have native translators is because a person who has learned a language will never seem to understand the nuances that you have when you do the rewritings and stuff like that. So, like, when you hire someone for that, make sure he's a native translator, but that's not just enough. This person has to understand that or he or she are developing a sales copy, not just like a text. So it has to sell your product, and they have to have experience in marketing, and they definitely should know how to insert the keywords that you give them into this text. That's like a really like a 100% strategy that works.
Because at the end of the day, you're selling a product via a few images and text. That's that's your store technically. So if you just have text just to have text, then how are you going to convert? How are you going to convert customers? So you need to make sure that the way that you explain about your product always conveys emotion. Is that something that you are on board with, Jana? Is it still very important to to convey
like
emotion?
100%, and especially because like nowadays with like everyone's has like a plus content now, it's like even A plus premium is available, and there are like so many things that are available to you, so you can like fully convey the message of your brand across the seas or anywhere else. So it's made possible now more than ever. And then this is why this content matters that much, because like this is your way to connect with your consumer. And if you cannot connect with your consumer with content, then how did you think you're going to connect with, so this is something which is like a very important piece of the puzzle. Apart from like a PPC, like and other things, like content is king, as they usually say. And I agree with this like 100%. And definitely keywords, because you can have an amazing content, but if it doesn't have any keywords, nobody's going to see your product and they're not even going to know you're there. So, yeah.
So since you are the expert at translations, localization, implementing new keywords into a listing once somebody wants to sell in a different marketplace, last thing that I want to ask you is related to images. I just thought about it. Do you also normally advise sellers to make changes in their images as well? Of course, depending on the product, but
yeah, I mean, very rarely, maybe sometimes when we see like that, I don't know, something is not okay, like culturally, like for instance, like in the Netherlands, for instance, like they don't do like a lot of like pink is for girls and blue is for boys and stuff like that. So like one of our translators was like, I think I would change this image. I'm talking about A plus content, because like when it comes to main images, if you change one, you change it everywhere. So a lot of sellers don't want to do it. But like when it comes to A plus content, sometimes when something is culturally not appropriate, or maybe it's not, like we're now in all this like a cancel culture and Vogue culture and stuff like that. And sometimes we like, you need to change this because this is not going to go well, like, or something like that. But it really very, very rarely happens. Usually people don't change the images. Like we've seen this happen like less than like 5%. What people do is like they translate the text on images, but like usually images stay the same. And it's kind of big of a problem because main images, unfortunately, they're always going to be the same. So you can't change like one image and then expect it to be changed for one marketplace only. I mean, this is only possible in this program called Marketplace 360. This is where you can have different text on images and different images for each country, but it costs a lot of money. And honestly, we know some sellers that use it, but it's quite expensive.
Yes, it's for big retailers, I think.
Yes, and this is available in Vendor Central. It's much easier.
Yes.
But so far, Seller Central, it's just the only way how you can do it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jana, for all your insight, all those strategies. They're very simple, but
Yeah.
I'm
People
sure
don't think about that. People
they
just
do,
don't think about them. Yeah.
100% people don't think about them because you mainly focus on, the technical part of like, how do I send my products, shipping companies, stuff like
Yes.
that. But you forget that, at the end of the day, you are selling a product to a consumer. So you need to focus on that as well. Unfortunately, on top of everything, you need to focus on that as well, or at least get someone to do it. Jana, first of all, you just told me that you're coming to Dubai in February. I'm so
Yes.
excited. If you're coming to Dubai, where are you coming? What are you doing in Dubai? Other than
I'm
coming to
going.
see me, other
Yes.
than that,
I'm
yeah.
yes. Other than seeing you, of course, I'm coming to Affiliate World. It's a conference I spoke at the two previous Ad Worlds, and now this is Affiliate World, and it's going to be an amazing conference. It's going to be like more than like 6,000 people, and there's going to be some really, really, really great content. So I'm really looking forward to it, and just uh, our lives coming back to normal, like going to the
Yes,
events and stuff like that.
yes.
So I just hope it's going to be like one of many for to attend next year.
In 2022, I hope so.
Yeah.
Jana, how can people reach out to you? And what services does YTL Translations also offer your company?
Yeah.
First and
So we
foremost,
had
everyone who's watching the video, you can find Jana's website in the description box of this video if you want to go directly to her website. But just tell everyone what your specialty is, Jana, with YLT Translations.
Yeah, so we do translations and localization basically of all content, anything related with e-commerce. We do, translations of like packagings, email inserts. We do flat files creation for those of you who don't want to upload that manually. I do like a lot of consultation about like all sorts of questions relating to international expansion. So if you guys have anything, or maybe you don't know how to get started, or like maybe you're stuck somewhere, we also offer absolutely free audit of already translated listings, or even your listings that is on UAE. We could definitely tell you like what you can do better, and if they're underperforming, why are they underperforming, and anything similar to that. If you have like a Shopify web page, like we can also translate that. We also what I want to say now. Yeah, we also offer some sort of like a customer service in different languages. There's like a lot of things, copywriting. There's like a lot of things that we offer, but like basically our top service is definitely product listings and getting them optimized with the keyword research. Look, is a full service. So if you guys have any questions or you would like to book a call, you can do that on our page. I'll be happy to talk to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jana. One last question that I want to ask you before I let you go. What do you think about the future of selling on Amazon? Obviously, a lot of people started in 2020. Currently, as the statistics show, almost 4,000 products are sold on Amazon per minute. That's only on Amazon.com. So it's a huge, huge business. But do you think it's overly saturated? Do you think it's something that people need to just forget about and go move on to something else? Because you have so much experience, because you work with sellers every single day. So what would be your advice for somebody either that started or that is thinking of starting in 2022?
Well, I think it's definitely now harder than ever to start selling, especially like in the US. Everything has becoming more and more competitive. International marketplaces as well, and now with the whole mess with the supply chain and everything, so things are getting harder and harder. But I also like what Amazon did with rebates and everything. They kind of trying to get like everything in order, and like so sellers kind of stop doing like more and more of like black hat and stuff like that. But I definitely think that selling on Amazon has its advantages. It has become harder, but what, for instance, if I was like new and like getting into sales, I would totally do it, even though it means it's very hard, because next year I think the prices for your business you're building are going to be insane if you want to exit. because now we have like,
Yes.
I don't know how many
All of these
aggregators, and they're
aggregators.
literally
Yes.
throwing money to just buy your businesses. And I know a couple of aggregators that like they're not looking to buy like a 7 or 8 figure business. They just want to buy like a 6 figure business. Like, it doesn't really matter how much you do as long as it's working. So they're
Mm.
just really like desperate. Like I get like a lot of emails from aggregators because like, can you, we'll buy whatever, like literally like any brand, any niche. I mean, you have
Yeah.
like picky aggregators, but you have the ones that are like absolutely not picky. So I would, if you're thinking of like going to selling and doing an exit, I definitely think that you should do it next year, because I think next year they will be throwing even more money at your
Yeah.
businesses. As
Yeah.
long as you do everything white hat. Like from my experience, like aggregators, they don't want anything to do with a business that has done any like black hat. So whatever you do, try to stay away from that.
So basically, not only are you building a business that now more and more consumers are shopping online, and definitely Amazon is the number one marketplace,
Yeah.
no matter where you live. But more and more people are shopping online. But now you have an even bigger opportunity
Bigger.
if you want
Yeah,
to build a
exactly.
business is to just build it and then sell it to an aggregator, which is something that was there a few years ago, but it wasn't so known, and it wasn't
No,
so out
no.
there. It was like you
Yeah.
would have to find someone to buy your business,
And
and it
I
would
would
be a little
and
bit
I would
odd.
just and I would just do that before the whole aggregator bubble bursts. I'm pretty
100%,
sure
100%.
there will be a couple of aggregators after the bubble bursts, but now is like a really good time because they're literally, I don't know, so many aggregators. Like, and there's every day I hear about a new aggregator, and
Yeah,
I just read yesterday that Awesome Group like bought, who are aggregators. They they bought another
another
aggregator.
aggregator, which makes a lot of
So it's
sense.
like,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
So like
yeah.
people are like really, really into that, and they have like a lot of money. They're like really, getting
Just to let you know, Yana,
funding
we
from
also have
everywhere.
two aggregators now based in Dubai. So
Oh,
imagine
see?
like a really small starting out marketplace, and
Right.
we already have not one but two aggregators that are looking to purchase brands and
Yeah.
accounts in the Middle East. They're definitely not going to be
Yeah.
competing with the aggregators in the US. So they're looking for accounts on emerging marketplaces, which is very smart, like the Middle East, maybe Turkey, maybe the smaller new European markets like Poland,
Hmm.
Sweden, all of those smaller marketplaces, not the marketplaces that aggregators normally focus on, which is like UK, Germany, and the US. So, yeah, there's a big possibility for anyone, but it's not going to be easy. So, thanks, Jana,
Yeah.
for saying that, because, we don't want it to seem like it's a very easy
No,
thing.
no, no. It's
No,
going
it's
to be
not.
very
No,
hard
it's
and
not.
very,
Yeah.
very hard. But I definitely think that you could just, cash it in, honestly. Without
Yeah.
being like in that top, like, I don't know, like, because I also think people like my business is not good enough, my niche is stupid. But like now there's like this sea of aggregators. I'm sure somebody would love to buy our brand.
Yeah. So not only are you going to be making money online, but you can later on sell your brand. So think about it
And
that
then just
way.
and then as soon as you sell your brand, you start a new one, and you
Of
just gonna
course,
like I
you do
I
it
I
again.
know I know a couple of sellers that had like their 3 exits so far,
Yes,
and
yes,
because when
yes.
once you're in the game, you just gotta reproduce it, so you become like a serial entrepreneur basically, and you can just gonna live off by like just like selling those brands, and that seems like a fine business model to me.
Live off very well. Live very
Yes,
well.
live
No,
very
thanks.
well. Yes,
Very, very well. Thank you so much, Yana, for your time and all of your insight. Thank you, everyone, for watching. If you're watching live with us, thank you so much for sticking
thank you,
with
thank
us.
you.
And if you're watching this on, because this is on our channel, if you're watching it later on, thank you very much. Please, everyone, do reach out to Yana if you need anything related to expanding. She's worked with so many different customers and clients, and she can help you even if it's something that is not related to translations. She can put you in
Yeah.
the right direction. Thank you so much, Jana, and I look forward to seeing you in February.
Yes, thank you so much, Christelle. My pleasure.
Thanks.